Hello, comic book fans. This is your host, Travis Collins, aka Duck Punch, and I'm back for another episode of Duck Punch Comics. Today we're looking at 4 more books that came out on September 15th, 2010. Today we're going to take a look at Justice Society of America Special number 1, Batman Beyond number 4 of 6, Thunderbolts number 148, and Steve Rogers Super Soldier number 3 of 4. Now, by now, you guys are all well accustomed to the way we do things, so we jump straight to our reviews with Justice Society of America Special number 1, written and illustrated by Scott Collins. Okay, at the risk of scaring off those with virgin ears, this needs to be said. What the fuck? Seriously, this was probably the single worst comic I've read all year. Maybe the worst comic I've ever read. Oh yeah, it's that bad. Now basically what's going on in this story is that former JSA member Magog has been taken over by a cult that worships the creature that gave him his powers, Gog. The Justice Society and the All-Stars come together to free Magog, stop the cult, and end the threat of Gog's return once and for all. Or at least I kind of think that's what happens. I don't know. While this book may be exceptionally pretty to look at, Collins cannot write. At all. This was just terrible. It was hard to figure out what was going on. There were literally random things happening with absolutely nothing tying them together. Characters would show up and be treated as important, then get blown to smithereens with no explanation other than, well, they were the bad guys, or, well, the bad guys didn't like them. And again, there was nothing really connecting any of it. I'm really not sure what the hell the point was. Unless you're a completist like me, avoid this like the plague. Seriously, comic shops who carry this should be quarantined. This is terrible. Terrible! Next up, Batman Beyond, number 4 of 6, written by Adam Beechin, with artwork by Brian Benjamin. Why do I keep saying that? Brian? It's Ryan Benjamin. I am not going to get this guy's name right at all. Mr. Benjamin, you are now Brian Benjamin. Sorry. Okay, moving on. And again, with more absolute crap, this book made me die all over. This was an absolutely atrocious book that serves to prove that whatever viability the Batman Beyond franchise once had is officially being thrown out the window. And it frankly pisses me off. Now, the fight between Hush and Catwoman escalates when Bruce Wayne sends one of his prototype Bat Wraith robots. Meanwhile, Terry meets with Dick Grayson, who has his own horror stories of working with Bruce to tell. The next night, Terry lures Hush back into a fight, only to get thoroughly trounced, and the identity of the villain is revealed once and for all. You know what hurts me the most here? That there is zero originality here. We've already seen this story from Batman Beyond before, and it was done much better. But even worse than that, the sheer crapitude of this story, which has been a combination of just cheap shocks and skippable exposition, literally kills this franchise, which has a lot of fans, including me. This could have been great. This could have been awesome. Instead, we get a repeat of the Batman Beyond movie without anything that made that movie great. Benjamin's art, though, continues to be good, but at this point, he's basically playing in the band while the Titanic is sinking. I want this to be good. As a fan of the series, I need this to be good. But Beechin has proven that all it takes is 4 issues to destroy a character, and I have zero expectations for the future of this miniseries and the future of the Batman Beyond franchise. I'm really just so upset with this book. Next up, Thunderbolts number 148, written by Jeff Parker, with artwork by Declan Shalvey. Now here's a conundrum for you kiddies. When is a good issue really a bad issue that would otherwise be a good issue? Give up? Well, after the review, I think you'll be able to figure it out. Now, Luke Cage, the leader of the Thunderbolts, is off in Hell's Kitchen dealing with Daredevil and the Shadowland crisis, leaving the Thunderbolts themselves to try and make nice with their fellow prisoners on the raft. Cage eventually calls them in to assist with a search and rescue operation, which immediately falls apart and leaves our less than heroic protagonists all by themselves. Okay, Jeff Parker is a great writer, and he writes the Thunderbolts team really well. But the decision to include them in the Shadowland story really feels forced and entirely shoehorned in. I mean, thus far they've faced trolls, they've faced mutant Terrigen monsters. You know, things that are either too weird or too dangerous or too obscure for the rest of the heroes out there to deal with. So that being said, why fight the Hand? You've got Spider-Man and Ghost Rider and a whole slew of other big names already on the job. So what did the Thunderbolts bring to the table? Okay, I know technically there is an in-story explanation, but even that feels half-assed. I just don't get it. Now, Declan Shalvey takes over artwork from Kev Walker, and immediately I'm already enjoying it more. You know what? People actually look like people! Who would have thought, right? So in answer to the riddle at the beginning, have you figured it out? When is a good issue really a bad issue that would otherwise be a good issue? Well, here's the answer. When that issue is needlessly tied down to a bad crossover. Thunderbolts 148 could have been good, but the editorial just had to put the kibosh on that one now, didn't they? Last up today, Steve Rogers, Super Soldier, number 3 of 4. Written by Ed Brubaker, with art by Dale Eaglesham. As if to wash the horrible taste of the last 3 books out, we return for the next to last issue of this miniseries, focusing on Steve Rogers and his adventures post-Captain America. Now, while this book is light on the exposition and character insight we've seen in the past from Brubaker, it is heavy on action, which itself is downright awesome. Now, after being stripped of his super soldier abilities by the Machine Smith, Steve is forced to rely on his training and not his strength or speed to save himself from the super soldier serum enhanced goons that his enemy has taken care of him. Things get even weirder when he discovers that one of the robots, designed to look like his long-dead girlfriend, is in fact willing to switch sides. All of this sets up a major final battle in the next issue. Now, compared with his work on the actual Captain America title, this has been pretty light fare from Brubaker. Well, you can blame it on it being a mini-series, or on having so many other projects to work on, or whatever. But the point remains that this hasn't been his best, though definitely not his worst. I will give him one thing. He shows here that even without the physique of an Olympic decathlon to fall back on, Steve Rogers is still awesome. I mean, honestly, the fight between the henchman and Steve in the hallway is one of the best I've ever read, or at least read in a very long time. It's just great. Now, Dale Eaglesham is just brilliant on artwork. One of the best. Right up there with Imonen and Bianchi and Copiel. Simply just great. While not as great as the last 2 issues, and much simpler than his Captain America work, this is still a great little book that continues to prove why Ed Brubaker is one of the best in the business, and why Steve Rogers is one of the greatest characters ever. So there you go, guys. 4 more books down, 3 just absolute stinkers. I mean, just terrible, and 1 not so bad one. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. As always, leave comments, let me know what you thought, and as always, have a great afternoon. See you tomorrow.